Hi, I am Balaji Chippada and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In continuation of our Python series, today we will understand what are keywords and identifiers in Python and we will be coding everything on Google Colab. So I recommend you guys to watch our previous video on how we can use Google Colab for Python and data science tasks. So without any delay, let's get started. Now let's understand what are Python keywords. Keywords are basically reserved words in Python in which you cannot reuse it or you cannot assign any values to these words. And you cannot use these keywords as variable names, function names, or any other identifiers. And keywords are case sensitive. Let me give an example of case sensitive. Let's take an example of word true, which is a keyword in Python. But if I write like this is not a keyword because the T is not capital in this second word. So this is what case sensitive means. Both words needs to be exactly same in the same order. There should not be any changes. That's what case sensitive means. Now there is this module called keyword and we are importing this. What is a module? Module is basically pre-coded logic that you can reuse in your workflow. We will understand how you can create modules in the later videos, but now let's go with this. And inside this module you have a method called kwlist. It's basically keyword list, and what we are saying is print this keyword list. Now what is print? If you are familiar with any other programming language like C, we have something called as printf, right? And inside this parenthesis whatever you give, this will be printed in the output console. Similar to that, in Python language you have something called as print, and you have open parenthesis and close parenthesis. Whatever you provide inside this will get printed in the output console. Now let's understand by executing these cells. You can execute by clicking on this icon at the side of this cell, and everything executed fine without any issues, and we got the output here. So this is the cell and this is the output of this cell. And in the first line we said print keywords.kwlist. So this is the output for that: false, none, true. And so these are all classified as keywords inside Python programming. And there is this function called length, and I am saying find out the length of all the keywords that are present inside Python and do a print of it. And that's easy. That's how much easy it is to learn Python even though you are a beginner. You can just read the code just like English. So what I'm saying is print the total number of keywords and then get the length of all the keywords. So what is this? So this is a custom message. So this is needed to understand what you are printing. It is not needed, but it is good to have feature. And if I execute this again, it says there are 35 keywords inside Python programming language, and all of these are classified as keywords in which you cannot use them as a variable names, function names, or you cannot assign any values to this. Now let's try and assign some values to the keywords. So false is a keyword and I'm trying to give a value as 1 to the false. Now let's execute this. If you see, I'm getting a syntax error because it cannot assign any value to false because false is a keyword. So if you see the error message, it is very easy to read, right? That's how easy it is to debug in Python as well. So if you are a beginner, it is very easy to learn Python because of its simplicity. But if I say false one, which is not a keyword because false is a keyword, and if I do false one and print false one, it will execute without any issues because it is not a keyword and this is perfectly valid according to Python. What are identifiers? Identifiers are basically names that are given to entities like class, functions, variables, and etc. You will understand what are classes, functions, and variables in the later videos, but let's understand what are identifiers. And there are some rules for declaring an identifier. An identifier can be a combination of letters from A to Z, small or caps lock or uppercase, or it can contain numbers between 0 and 9, and the word can contain underscore as well. If you have a combination of these, that can be used as an identifier. And there are some exceptions as well. First exception is you cannot start your identifier with a digit. It should not start with a digit, and if it is starting with a digit, it will be considered as an invalid and you will get some syntax error. And keywords cannot be used as identifiers, as I mentioned before. Now let's understand this with some examples. If I say true 1, true underscore 1 equal to 1, it didn't throw any errors. But if I say true 1 equal to 1, it will not throw any errors. But if I keep this 1 in front of this word, this will be invalid according to the rules of identifiers. And if I execute this, it says syntax error because it is not considered as a keyword. It is not considered as an identifier, sorry. And we cannot use special symbols like exclamations at the rate as well. And let's say I cannot use true at the rate, and if I cannot execute this, it will show you as invalid syntax because this is also not acceptable in Python for an identifier, right? But I can say a underscore b underscore 1, I can go whatever I want and I can execute this, and it will not throw any errors if I am following all the rules that are specified here. If you have any queries so far in this video, like what are identifiers or what are keywords, please let me know in the comment section below. I will reply to each and every one of you. What are Python comments? Comments are basically text lines that are found inside or in between your code in which the compiler or interpreter does not do anything about it. It's just basically there for documentation purpose. Let's say you have written a function and you are looking back at that function after 2 to 3 weeks. There might be a chance that you might forgot the logic that you have written, right? That is where comments come into the picture. You can just add a comment like this, and any comment in Python has to start with hash, and whatever you write after hash will not be treated as a piece of code, and interpreter will not execute this part. So let's say I execute this print hello world. What I'm saying is in the comment printing hello world, and it did a print hello world. And if I execute, it will not throw any error. I will take one example here. If I say true at the rate equal to 1, and if I execute this, this will show a syntax error because this is against the rules of identifiers. But if I add the same piece of code inside a comment, this will not throw any error because the interpreter or compiler is not treating this as a piece of code. It is just a text to document your code. It is advisable to document your code properly so that it will be helpful for others as well. And the next part is multi-line comments. How can you do a multi-line comments? It is just basically create multiple lines of text, and at every line start with a hashtag. That's how you do a multi-line comments. Is there a better way of doing it? Yes. The better way is to write your entire text in between these triple quotes. Whatever is there inside this triple quotes, this will be treated as a comment, and Python will not show you any error even though there is a syntax errors inside this comments, because this is just a piece of text. This is not a code. Even if I execute this, it will not throw any errors. It will show you the output, right? So why do we need these comments? Let's say I created a function to add two numbers, and if I execute this, it will give me the output. But if this is a big function in which very complex logic is present, and I might forget that logic maybe in the next week or 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe in the later part. So what I do is I add a comment saying that this function takes two values a and b, and it returns the sum of the two values. So when I read at this comment, I understand what this function is all about. That is how you document your code. That is where comments are very helpful. Now, is there a better way of documentation, or is there a standard way of documenting your code? Yes. Whenever you create a function, right, at the start of the function, add a multi-line comment or whatever it is under triple quotes, and this will be treated as a documentation purpose. Right now, I added function to triple the given number, and I will just print this out, and it will show me the output, right? That's how it is. And that's all for this video. And if you like what you are watching, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell icon to get notified daily. And we'll meet in the next video. See ya.